Record.
Uh,
Yay.
Perfect.
Boom.
Okay, so let me.
Wait, David, are you still sharing your screen?
No,
Oh,
I'm
wait, maybe
not.
that's me. What the
Are you
heck?
sharing your screen?
No, I don't think so.
I don't
I
see
don't
any
know.
screens
I
being
don't think
shared.
anybody
I
should.
saw the
Neither do
purple
I.
share
I don't see
screen
any.
thing happening, and I was like, what's happening? Should it be me?
Okay. Well, then maybe we can get started so that we don't have to stay longer than 12:30 or 11:30 for some of you guys. But I did want to just thank everyone for coming on the call. Thank you guys all for just being here, for serving on Revive, for being my co-workers and partners in the gospel. It's been an awesome 9.5 months. We only have 2 months left, or 9.5 months. We
2 weeks.
only two
Hmm.
weeks 2 weeks left, and so I'm so grateful for this experience to have done it alongside of you guys. So I as many of you guys know, I mean everybody on the call knows, but my name's Rebecca, and I've been here in Romania serving on Revive, and I wanted to kind of get the purpose of this call is to kind of get an idea of what Revive is like in other countries with other people's experience. And so I'm going to let everybody maybe introduce themselves, who you are, where you're from, maybe either what you did before Revive or why you chose to come on Revive. And then we can go ahead and maybe start with David, and then you guys can just jump right in.
Awesome. Yeah. So first, thank you so much for this opportunity, Becca. Yeah, my name's David. I'm currently serving in Sofia, Bulgaria. I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas. That's where I was raised my entire life. Before Revive, I was working in a hotel with the front desk, and I was also working with the Yopo ministry in the San Antonio church. I chose to do Revive because one, I love Eastern Europe. I've been here a few times, and I also wanted to go out and do a lot of missionary work. And so Revive gave me that opportunity to be in a place of the world that I love and do something that I have been passionate about.
So thanks for sharing.
I can go next. My name's Megan. I'm currently living in Zagreb, Croatia, and I'm from Lawrence, Kansas. Prior to this, I was living in Miami, Florida, doing my master's program, and then I worked at a hospital there as a tobacco treatment specialist. And for me, I was just kind of ready to do something different. I was ready to leave Florida, but didn't really know what I wanted to do. Ministry wasn't in the plan, but it kind of God just opened a lot of doors and it ended up being a part of the job in the field that I wanted. So I felt very grateful to be here for this year.
Cool. I can go next. My name's Christopher Hughes. I'm 24 from Chicago, and kind of my background is I was a Marine for 4 years, and then I got out and started going to school. And around those couple years at the end of my Marine Corps into going to school, I came to faith. And so I actually ended up coming to faith about just a year and a half ago now. And when I got baptized, I came to faith. My heart was very passionate about serving. I mean, I served in the Marines, and then coming out into faith, there were so many opportunities and needs. And my heart was to really just share the gospel with people and share with people what I've learned and what I've gained in so many different ways. And so that was kind of my heart, was to come out here and just share that. And so my original plan wasn't for Revive. I actually was going to go on some Hope Worldwide, kind of more volunteer core type things. And then Revive popped up, and it was like last minute. I was like, you know what? I'll come join. And so it went from a 1 semester break from school to about 2 semesters now, 3 semesters. So yeah.
That's funny how God works.
Yeah, and I'm Nick Kaplan. I grew up near Washington, D.C., and right before Revive, I was finishing up my undergraduate degrees, and I was able to do my undergrad in only 3 years. And I initially wanted to just take an extra year, kind of what would have been my fourth year, to just go serve God. I never got to study abroad, so Revive was kind of fulfilling that desire for the international travel, but then also just get to just really dedicate a year of my life to God really sounded just like something I wanted to do. And so that's
Mm,
how I ended up here in Budapest.
awesome. So we have all kinds of backgrounds, different parts of the states, and reasons to come on Revive. I love how Revive brings all different types of people together from different places and age groups and whatnot to really just serve God together. I wanted to ask you guys a little bit about the city that you're in, the country that you're in. So we're all in different places. Revive is currently in 5 different cities, and we have 4 of them represented on this call. Maybe if you can share a little bit about the city that you're in, and then a fun fact or your favorite thing about where you live. And then we can start with Nick this time.
Yeah, so I'm in Budapest in Hungary. Um, it is just an incredibly beautiful city. One of my favorite things to do is just prayer walk along the Danube, and there's just like all these gorgeous buildings on both sides, especially at night. It's just like an incredible place just to walk and be connected to God. The cool thing about Budapest is that it's actually was originally 2 different cities. One was Buda and one was Pest. And the really easy way to know, and one was on one side of the river and one was on the other side of the river. And the easy way to know which one was which is that if you look at a map, Buda part of the word of Budapest will be on the Buda side, and the Pest part of the word will be on the Pest side. And that is the only reason I knew which side was which these like 9.5 months.
Thanks.
Awesome. So fun. We just got to go to Budapest for a church conference, and it was beautiful. I had never even Googled Budapest before. And, it's always fun to try out a new country, but I was like in awe at every corner. My jaw was on the floor. It was such a beautiful city.
I can go next. Becca, as you know, I'm with you in Budapest, Bucharest. I almost said Budapest.
Not to be confused with
So,
Budapest.
very close, but a little bit different. I'm in Bucharest, and I think the city is amazing. I come from Chicago, and coming to Bucharest, it's a very similar style, almost a similar size, and so I love the busy city life. And I think one of the big things about Bucharest is their some of their architecture, the around the Soviet Union time. There's these huge structures. They have a huge church here, and these huge parliament buildings, and that's something I love. I love architecture, so I think the city with these huge architecture makes it very beautiful. Um, and one other thing is the churches. Like I had mentioned, that there's a huge cathedral, the largest Orthodox cathedral in the world here in Bucharest. And I mean, you can go to any corner and there's an Orthodox church, which is, and you when you walk in, it's just like so beautiful, all the paintings and everything. So I think that's a huge part of the city. One of my favorite things is kind of similar to Nick here. I live right off one of the biggest lakes in Bucharest, and so I love to walk along that. And there's a tower that lights up every night with the Romanian flag, and it's basically the whole tower, and it's so beautiful at night just to walk and kind of spend time with God, and I get to see the amazing view of the city. And so that's a couple things I like about Bucharest.
Yeah, I love it too.
I can go. So something that I think is interesting about, well, Croatia as the country is there's a little less than 4 million people in the whole country. And I came from being in Miami where there were about 2 million people in just the county. So it's been a bit of a shift. But I think what's cool is the country and like people, and there's just like a lot of agriculture. It just reminds me of Kansas. And so being from Lawrence, which is a university town, is very similar to Zagreb, where students are coming from like really small, kind of like farmland areas, and they're like, whoa, this is so busy and so big. But someone coming from like LA or Miami, it's like this place is tiny. So I think it's interesting of like it feels like home, but European style and still very different. But one of my favorite things about here is the coffee culture. It's huge, but it's very different than the American coffee culture. I think one of the biggest shocks was going to coffee shops and there were like no laptops out. No one
Hmm.
was sitting by themselves. Everyone is sitting and having actual conversations, connecting with each other, men, women, old, young. And typically, you are there for like 2 hours. Like an hour is kind of like you're rushing it. If I'm
Hmm.
meeting with someone for a Bible study and I can only be there for an hour, I have to tell her ahead of time, or else she's like, "Whoa, why are you leaving so fast?" And I just think that's cool because it makes people more connected. And I've noticed young people know how to communicate a lot better than some Americans do.
Wow, I didn't know that about Zagreb. That's so cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. No, Zagreb's amazing. I've been there, love it. Super jealous that you're there right now, Megan. But Sofia's amazing. So, like I said, I'm in Sofia, Bulgaria. This is actually my second year here. And so I've been able to see a lot of this city. And I think the thing that I really appreciate about this city is the walkable history that it has. I mean, Becca, you got to come visit for a Monday. And literally at one of the major metro stops, you get to literally walk through Roman ruins that are still there today. There's churches that are being unearthed that have been there for centuries. It's just so rich in history and so rich in culture. And it's so cool to see that, or to be able to literally walk in these ruins and see it. It's just such a cool experience. And for me, that's what I love to do is just walk through these places and think about the brothers and sisters that probably were here walking these same ruins. Ed came and visited us and gave an amazing lesson about how Sophia was considered or was being considered to be one of the like major hubs in the ancient world just because of its location and its natural defensive positioning. And so it's just really cool to be here. The food's amazing out here in Sofia, and the public transportation is probably the best public transportation in all of Eastern Europe. So,
So cool. Yeah, I did get to go to Sofia about a month ago now, and it was awesome. Yeah, that I saw a little church that Constantine is said to
hmm.
have attended, which is so cool and so impressive. Yeah, I kind of wanted to shift a little bit and maybe talk about the biggest blessing of this past year, of this past 10 months. What has God um, encouraged you with through Revive? I'd love to hear a little bit about the good. Obviously, as a missionary, there's good and bad, and we'll get to the bad. But I'd love to hear just some of the highlights, how God has built your faith over this time. So maybe we can start with Chris.
Sure. Yeah. Um, I think one of the biggest things that I've felt so blessed by God with was probably, um, I guess there's kind of two things. One, the Bible studies that we have, just getting to sit down with these guys and really just teach them about the Bible and see how the Bible can really transform their lives. I think has one challenged me in different ways. They bring a lot of good, great questions where I'm like, I'm teaching this, but okay, I don't know the answer to that. Let me go look into that. And it actually helps me grow my own faith. And I think in that, as you teach others, you grow your own faith so much. And so that's been a huge blessing. And then I think another one would be just the church here too, just the community that's already here, that's trying to strive. It's been such a blessing to have people around me that, I feel like I came here to serve, but I feel like I've been served almost 10 times more. And that just feels like a huge blessing. And just to have good friends also around me to just lift me up in times of hardship. And yeah, I think God has lived a lot of blessings when it coming out here to Revive and in Bucharest especially. Yeah.
I second that.
I
I'll
can
go
hop in.
next. Oh, sorry. Um,
Megan, the next.
just I'll go real quick. I mean, it's kind of hard to narrow down. I think there's been so many blessings and ways that my faith has been built. I think one thing is the team here has built a lot of unity, and I think it's felt quick. I mean, we've all known each other for less than a year, and everyone I'm around every day I've known for less than a year, but it doesn't feel like that. I feel Like I've known these people for years just because we've gone through every part of life together in the past almost 10 months. And I think that's been a huge blessing. But I think also one of the biggest things I've learned is seeing how God works through our weaknesses. I mean, we're all in places where we don't speak the language. And
Mhm.
so going and like sharing our faith, here I'm grateful, like most people do speak English. But I would prefer to try to speak their language if possible. So I think just being able to learn a new culture and what that means with religion, what that means with relationships and everything that comes with it has been incredible because I didn't know anything about Croatia before moving here. And so that's built my faith a lot just to see God works despite what we can or can't do.
It's so true. You really do get so close to the teams. So you're together 6 days a week, and you also tend to live with the people that are on your team, and so they really do become family and best friends. And yeah, from what I hear from past revivers, you take the friendship with you to wherever you
Mm,
land. So I love that. Thanks for sharing, Nick.
Yeah, I can share. I think Budapest has been maybe what I would say a more unique situation for Revive because it's the largest church in Eastern Europe, which is just a really encouraging fact. And I think for me, one of the just greatest blessings that's come out of it is just the community that I feel like I've been able to create with the disciples here, and not counting the Revive team, our kind of combined next gen group of campus teen Yopo disciples is about 25 disciples in that group. And it's just been really encouraging to get to just partner with them. And earlier on, I was primarily working with the Revive team, and now almost everything I'm doing is just with the local disciples. And there are small group leaders, there are Bible talk leaders. I'm only in, I think, one consistent Bible study with other Revive team members. Everyone else who I'm in studies with are actually the local disciples. And maybe just the one last really encouraging thing is that one of the brothers who got baptized back in February, his name was Bende, we're now, me and him are studying the Bible with one of his friends. And so we've already seen that ripple effect that's just happening in that community, and just seeing the local leaders be raised up just to take ownership of their ministry. I think was really encouraging to me because I feel like that's what I came here to do, but also I was able to just be part of their community for my time here.
Hmm. That's amazing, Nick. Yeah, Budapest is such a cool place. I think for Sophia and here, I think echoing a lot of what these guys have said, the Sophia Church is a lot smaller, but a lot of these disciples are older and have been around for decades. And so they are literal pillars of faith that are so amazing to be around because they have so much experience. And it's also just cool to hear their stories and to see what has kept them staying faithful. I think that's one of the biggest things that's been a blessing over the last 10 months is having a very mature church and having disciples that are very mature, uh, and seeing the faith that they have to stay faithful even when things get rough, even when they don't see growth or when they don't see what we would consider success. But also with that, I think the idea of family is so much more ingrained in them out here because of how small they are. I mean, I know from last year to this year, like the ways that I've been invited into their homes, the way that we've had meals together, it's really a true blessing and an awesome experience to have. I think another big blessing is with our Revive team. For us in Sofia, we had the smallest team this year, but that allowed us to get really close to the disciples and to really just connect and get a lot of one-on-one time with them, get a lot of personal time with them, and just really build that family unit with them. And so that was really encouraging and a huge blessing over the last 10 months.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing, guys. Now, maybe transitioning on to what is has been the hardest part of this missionary experience.
Mhm.
And maybe even that maybe people wouldn't expect, or just personally for you, what has been challenging? And then we'll start with Megan.
Yeah, I think for me, I was trying to think through because, you can kind of choose what you want to be hard or not.
Hmm.
But I think for me, it's been missing out on life events of friends and family at home. I've had a couple like close friends get married. Like one of my childhood best friends got married, and different things that's like, do I make the time and the money to fly back home for a few days or not? And I mean, I think God really helped make it clear in that decision. And so having to like support virtually, it's not the same, but it's like, okay, at least you're still there. And I think similarly with that, like having homes in multiple places. And
Hmm.
so I think for me, living
Mm.
multiple places, it's like, okay, different time zones. And now keeping up with these friends and these locations that I've lived that I love, but it's not where I am right now. And this is like now Zabdeb is adding to that list of these places of home. So it's a great thing. Like I feel grateful to have kind of this hardship, but I would say that's been one of them being here.
Sure.
Yeah. I can piggyback off Megan. Like, that's definitely real, especially being out here for my second year. I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to catch up with that brother. I need to catch up with that person. And okay, we're 8 hours ahead. Oh, we had daylight savings. You didn't have daylight savings. And just keeping up with people around the world is such a hard part about ministry, I think, as well as, and this is, I mean, this is just human nature, but the idea of out of sight, out of mind, like, since I'm not there with those people, a lot of it does sort of fall on me of like, oh yeah, I really want to catch up with that brother. And so I think that that's been a hard thing is like I'm having to fight for a lot of these relationships still back in the States. But I think in terms of missionary part of things that are hard, I think for me here in Sofia, one, I was serving as the team lead here in Sofia, and success is having a lot of studies, seeing people make Jesus Lord of their life, being out there. And this year in Sofia, especially when we came back in January, there was like nothing. Like me and Alex maybe had two people studying the Bible, and we were hitting the ground every day for a few hours, and no one was interested. And I remember for me, I was just like, God, have I sinned against you? Do you not want me here? Like, what happened? And just feeling so down on myself because I wasn't having this success that I thought I should have. But what really helped me through that was Ed actually came during February during that time and gave a great lesson of how our faith really actually grows when we're in those wildernesses. Because it's easy to be like, yay, God, when you're having the success. It's a lot harder to be like, yay, God, when you're going through those hard times. And so that was really hard, but also such a great lesson that I was able to see. And looking back, I'm like, okay, I see how God was refining my character and refining my view of success. So,
Mhm. So true.
Yeah,
mhm,
and maybe
Amen, David. Oh.
I'll just add a thought on top of David. I think for me, this definitely had to be over the past couple months a really intentional, like resetting of what is my relationship with God. And I think when you're in the place where your life is, especially in Rive, it's not just normal ministry. It's like we're here to study the Bible with people, and that is like almost our primary goal.
Mhm.
That it's it can be very tempting if I'm not intentional to have that be like the metric and not my faithfulness, and just my relationship with God becomes all the things I'm doing for God if I'm not really careful. And just in that makes just my personal times with God just really valuable to just spend that time apart from God, or sorry, apart from the things I'm doing for God with Him.
mhm,
Um, but I think beyond that, I mean, I think there definitely is a challenge of uprooting your life and moving just to another country, and maybe that is clear, probably just in saying that. But maybe the thing I would add is, I think it happens in phases. And I remember, I think like in October, about a month in, I remember I hit like a really major wall. And I was like, wait, I've already been here for a month. I'm already living here. Why am I now hitting this wall? And then another one kind of came like another month or two later of just like, well, I'm just really not used to this culture, and just it isn't my home culture, and there are things that will kind of continue to pop up about that even when I least expect it. And so you have to just really just be prepared to be less comfortable than you are in America. And I think as the months have gone on, I've definitely gotten more comfortable here, but it it's definitely still a higher level of discomfort as like a baseline compared to how I lived in the US, because how things are done is just how I'm used to and how I did them for years and years.
Yeah. Nick, I can agree. Not having a dryer has been a pain. Having to air dry all your clothes.
especially in the winter.
That that was the biggest thing for me when I first got here. I was like, where are the dryers at? I was like, I gotta put it outside on the rack. I'm like, I can't do that. I gotta wear this today. I can't do this. Um, and so yeah, that's funny, but yeah, I think I kind of agree with everybody. I think there's the combination of things where I think being missing family back at home, missing those relationships. Like for me, I have a nephew that's kind of going through a hard time, and I was kind of a very close connection for him. So not being able to be there for him has been definitely a hard part for me. So having not being there for family can sometimes be very hard. And then also, yeah, I think being on Revive, there's definitely a lot of challenges. There's some as feels like a lot of pressure to kind of, for me especially, being a Marine and having a very high standard and trying to perform and do things and take care of myself, to come into Revive and feel that same kind of pressure for my personal self, um, was definitely a challenging part for me, where it was kind of humbling at certain points. I felt like I was coming in like, oh, I got this, I can do this, and then I wasn't living up to that standard. So that was definitely a humbling point. And then I got to a point also, kind of how Nick mentioned, where God kind of came to me with like, "What did you come here for? Did you come here to perform, or did you come here to serve and be closer with me and to love people?" And that was kind of a moment where I got sick for the Turkey trip for the whole team, and I was sitting there sick in my room, and I was like, God, why am I here? Why I keep getting sick. I keep like I can't. I feel like I'm not performing well. Like what's going on? And I was kind of sitting there, and I felt like he was telling me that, and I was like, uh, okay, I get it. Yeah, my heart was to come here and serve and to love. It was not about the how I perform or how many baptisms or whatever. It's just to love and to serve. And so that's been a hard part, but it was the most one of the biggest teachings I think I've got from Revive so far. And so, yeah, I agree with everybody. I think all those aspects are very, very big aspects of what could be challenging for most people coming out to Revive.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Thank you guys for sharing. I know Revive is not easy, but it has been worthwhile, at least for me, and at least what
Mhm.
it sounds like for you guys as well. I think we have everybody except for Chris and I are returning. So Revive was awesome. I did want to end with one last question. We have 5 minutes left, so 1 minute each, until I have to upgrade to pro. But I would love to hear a little bit about one success story or one moment that was really pivotal for your Revive experience. So rapid fire, and we'll start with David.
Yeah, so rapid fire. I think the biggest success is seeing the heart change of the disciples. There's one of the single moms who used to be very sort of timid and shy. Now she is out there giving hugs. She's the one wanting to encourage people. And then also the next gen group. Last year, it was a lot of pulling teeth, if you will. This year, they're stepping up, and they even just 2 days ago, they hosted the Revive team to thank us. And so that was really cool. And that was a big surprise for us.
So cool. Nick?
Yeah, I think for me, a really pivotal moment came early on. And there was a moment when every other person on the Revive team was in a Bible study except for me. And I was walking on campus alone
Mm.
and I was super depressed. I was like, why am I the only one here? And I was walking past person after person after person. And I saw this one guy walking at me, like no one's been open. And I just looked at him. I'm like, this guy just isn't going to be open. And I like almost walked past him. At the last moment, I like swerved and I'm like, hey, are you interested in studying the Bible? And he's like, actually, like, I would be. And I was just like totally taken aback. And he was like the first open person I think I met while I was on Revive. And that's actually like Fenda, the brother who I shared about earlier, who got baptized. I'm now sitting down with two different people with him. I just very, very quickly become just a pillar of the ministry here. And just that knowledge that I almost walked past him at
Mhm.
the last minute I didn't like if I had just walked past the past 9 months would have looked totally different for me. And that just is very motivating to just not pass anyone and just share with every person I see.
So cool. Chris?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest success story for me or was with my first baptism was Chris. I think it was the end of April. And coming up to that point, I've heard from other cities, oh, this person got baptized, this person got baptized. And I felt like I was putting all this effort into teaching people the Bible. And I'm like, no one's going through it. It's they're showing up and they're like, I'm done. And then or they're taking 2 months at a time to meet. And then Chris comes along and he's on fire. He's just passionate about God. He's like, you know what, the Bible, if it teaches it, I want to do that. I don't want to go by other standards. I want to go by the Bible standards. And so for him, we went through the studies pretty fast and so that was just a huge encouragement, success story. You know, he got baptized and gave his life to the Lord. And that was so encouraging and it gave me a lot of drive after that just to continue going with the guys I'm studying the Bible with. So
Wonderful. And you can end us off, Megan.
Yeah, I think similar to David, seeing the hearts of the local people here. This is the first year that Revive is here in Zagreb, and it's a small church, and they've gone through a lot of hardships. But the local ministry, the Next Gen ministry, most of them are siblings, and I think like there's one week that I had to have like back to back harder conversations with some girls of just like, do you see where you're at right now? And it was so hard because I'm like, I don't know how they're going to respond. I don't know what this is going to be like. And seeing their hearts be like, no one has ever spoken to me so honestly before to help reflect my heart to see how I can live righteously. I think helped me be like, this is why we're here. Obviously, to make new disciples and bring people into the kingdom, but I think to also revive the local church to keep going because they're the people who are going to stay here and they're the ones that can connect with their community better than we will ever be able to. And so I think seeing that shift from a few months ago to now they're coming to events willingly and excitingly versus before it was like, okay, I guess I'll be here because Revive is here has been, I feel like such like a long-term investment that's been so encouraging for me.
Wow.
Amen.
I love how God has worked in our individual lives and the lives of our churches, local churches, and also in the lives of the people that we're reaching out to. So thank you guys for serving. Thank you guys for being willing to get on this call. And I just really appreciated all your insights and wisdom. So thank you so much, and we'll be in touch soon. Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Thank you.
amen. Thanks,
Thanks.
Becca.